Hi there, I'm Nikita and welcome to another video on my channel. In this video, I will be sharing with you guys my story of getting a job, actually getting 2 jobs as a student while studying masters in applied computer science in Germany. This has been one of the frequently asked questions, be it my YouTube comments, be it my YouTube stories, my community page on YouTube, email, and also a few years back when I had the Instagram account. And even after replying personally to so many people, I always keep getting this message, and I decided that is why that I have to make a video on this. It was like this that I started in summer 2013. I think so 18th or 19th April were the beginning of lectures. And I remember that I had 5 lectures in my first summer semester, and I didn't want to take more because I know the more the lectures, the more is the stress, and I wanted to keep it easy and calm. So it was roughly June or July when one of the professor of one of the lecture announced that we're looking for Hiwis, and Hiwi is an abbreviated form of Hilfswissenschaftler or Hilfswissenschaftlerin, which means basically a helping researcher or helping research assistant, or actually a research assistant. Students who work for professors or PhD researchers of professors are called as Hiwis. And it was that time when this professor mentioned that, okay, we are looking for Hiwis. I knew if I work, I might get an experience because I did not have any experience. I studied bachelor's and then I worked like a few months for a very tiny job. Meanwhile, I was preparing for my master's in Germany, and then I directly came to Germany. So I knew if I would work, I would get one experience in something that I'm working. Like, of course, if it's a university job, then I will get an experience that I can write in my CV and it can be used later on when I apply for a proper job or a PhD. Second, I will get an experience like not only for the resume purpose, but I will get hands-on experience with probably a tool or a set of tools or a programming language or something technical. And third, it would give me definitely, like, needless to say, it would provide me with some extra source of money, which is always nice because I knew I always had in my mind that my mother arranged my money for studies. Like, it was difficult how she arranged the money, so it was clear that I should not misuse her money. So I decided I will apply for a job so that whatever money I get, I can at least use it for my leisure purposes. Like, I can make trips around, I can go for sometimes parties, or I can buy myself some special food, which is expensive. Sounds crazy, but it was actually like this. And perhaps I can also like donate somewhere. And finally, one thing that I knew I probably will not have if I would not work is the work culture. I would get to know the work culture in Germany. And for me, it was very clear that after my master's, I want to work in Germany, at least for a couple of years. And that's why I knew that if I would work here, I would get to know also the work culture and the work ethics in Germany. So back then, when my professor announced that, okay, there is a job and you have to go to this website and you have to apply, I immediately noted down like each and every detail. The moment the lecture was over, I just sat down with my laptop and I immediately wrote an email. I just sent my CV with it and I just applied for it. Now, it is very important to know whenever you apply for a job that you qualify for the job. It should not be that you just apply for the job just because it's there and you want money. I really understand the desperation behind it. Sometimes we really are in short of money and we take whatever job possible. But the point is, when it comes to jobs in university or jobs related to technical things, then it's always necessary, and it's always, like, I would say also like ethical when you apply to jobs that you really can do. So I read the job description and I remember what professor told us in the lecture. So because I was fitting not one-to-one, but I knew somewhere I can help, I applied for the job. And we then went through interviews. The interviews were like pretty normal interview. I remember the professor was there and two of his research assistants were there, and they asked me about what I've done. Do I have any idea in this field? And I told, okay, I have slightly idea of these things and slight idea from like the lecture right now I'm attending, and not really much. And I was like pretty honest because I didn't want that I just tell them that I can do this, I can do that, and at the end of the day, when they take me for the job, I am good for nothing. So I made sure that I am very honest in the interview, and I just tell them, okay, this is what I know, this is what I do not know, but I'm ready to learn and I'm ready to really contribute to this work so that I can be helped and you can be helped. So both the teams can be simultaneously helped. And one more thing that I would like to mention or highlight in this video is, because my resume was ready with me, I could right away apply for the job. And this is one thing that I think we should really have in our mind, or one thing that we should be ready with: an updated resume. It has a lot of benefits, and one of the very benefits is this, that whenever you are in search of a job and you do not know where the job is, like you never know that you're walking and you see suddenly an advertisement, or somebody will tell you, hey, by the way, I know a job, or I know an opening, a vacancy, do you want to apply? You should always have an updated resume ready with you, in a place where you can access it like within 10 to 20 minutes, like not somewhere at your home printed, not somewhere in your desktop where you cannot find, a laptop where you cannot find. You should have it available somewhere in a cloud that you're using. You can have it ready in your Gmail, you can have it ready in your Dropbox or iCloud or Google Cloud or whatever cloud or Google Drive you're using. Have an updated resume ready so that you can right away apply. So what benefited me was that I was attending the lecture of the same professor and I had a ready resume. I applied for it and luckily I got the job. My one friend, like who studied also with me, she and I, both of us got the job. And we were pretty happy because this was something that we enjoyed doing, and the atmosphere of the department where we were working was pretty cool, calm. The research assistants were really nice. They explained us when we didn't know, and when we had problems we could go to them and write them and we could just get help. Now was a time when roughly 1 year was coming to an end. Like I had already 2 semesters behind me, and I remember that there was one day when I was just checking out my bank balance and I realized, okay, it's nice. I've been getting this money from my Hivi all the time, but this is not going to suffice if I continue like this, because my mother had to pay this 8,000 euros in a blocked account. But this 8,000 euros, so this entire money was only for the first year. And I knew for the second year, to get visa extension and to be able to survive in Germany, I would need another 7,000 to 8,000 euros. Not exactly like 8,000, but roughly you have to show 6,000 to 8,000 euros so that you can prove that you can survive the coming months in Germany and you can survive your entire education like time period. And if you wouldn't do, you would have problems with extension of your visa. So I remember, okay, I don't really know whether my mother will be able to do exactly the same amount or roughly this amount again, will be able to transact this money. So I decided to start applying or start looking for another jobs. Now the problem was that since I did not really have any experience after my bachelor's, I didn't really know where I can apply. I knew you can always do jobs in restaurants, you can always do jobs at libraries, you can always do jobs at like gym and other places. It was not that I was falling short of jobs. I just wanted to work in the university because it's very comfortable for me. I knew that I would get up, I would go to university anyway to attend lectures, and if I would get also second job, just like my first job in university, then like commutation would be really piece of a cake, like a piece of cake. Yeah, exactly. So I remember I started looking for jobs in university where I could just say, okay, I can help. It's really sad to say the only thing I had or I could trust myself in doing was either some programming, or I could do some web development. It was pretty difficult because when you are limited to very tiny vacancy types, like your profile is not strong enough, it's very difficult to apply. And I did not want to apply anywhere where I myself wasn't sure. I was ready to learn though, but I just didn't want to do injustice to my job. So it was pretty difficult. But what was nice is that in my university and a lot of other universities in Germany, there is this thing that whenever there is a job in any department or anything related to university, even sometimes even in companies, you have these walls or sections in buildings where there are like huge number of job vacancies printed or like pinned on them, or there are like these televisions that are hanging on top, and you could just see where is what kind of job required, or who is looking for jobs. And I remember each day, at least 3 to 4 times, I used to go to all the places where I knew would be job vacancies posted. And luckily, I found a job where it was written that we need a web developer who can change or make changes in a website, because right now the person who is doing it is going on a Mutterschutz, that is like a maternity leave. Fortunately, they needed Typo 3, and I had once worked with Typo 3 when I was like in India, so I knew at least I can take my time before the interview, revise some things, and can tell them, okay, I have done it and I just need a couple of hours and then I will be back into Typo 3. I went there and I told them honestly that I already have an 8-hour contract with another department, and I am right now a little bit worried that I might need more money to survive. I did not want a full contract of 8 hours. I said I want a contract roughly around 4 to 6 hours, and this would suffice because I have 8 hours already, and if I even have 4 to 6 hours, I think I will survive with this money. And luckily the interview went really, really well, and the same evening I got an email that you got another job, and from that day onwards I had 2 jobs in parallel. Now the question was how I had to manage them. The thing here was, especially in my job, that I did not have a very specific time where I had to go and work. I just was free. I just had to work 8 hours a week, and I had to finish the tasks that were assigned to me. So I made sure that, okay, Friday evenings or Saturdays are the days where I will divide my jobs. Friday, I had just 1 lecture in the morning, and then the rest of the day was free. And I was anyway going to university, so I did 8 hours of job on Friday. Sometimes I went on weekends, and the second job I did on Saturdays. So I made a very clear structure that throughout the week until the last lecture on Friday, I would not let my job hamper my education, my studies. And sometimes there was here and there meetings, so I remember I also skipped a couple of lectures altogether in a semester, but it was really rare because the professor was very understanding, and I said, okay, if the meeting can be rescheduled to this time, then it would be nice so that I don't have to miss my lectures. So I made sure that my job is not damaging anything in my studies. And Saturdays anyway, since I wasn't a party person, I just was anyway getting bored at home, I decided to work for the other job, which did not even demand me to come to a certain place. They just said, okay, you can sit anywhere, you just have to update the website whenever we tell you we need these changes, and so on. So altogether I had 8 hours of job, 8 hours of working in the first job, and 6 hours of working in the second one. So I had altogether 14 hours of working. And since I was a bachelor student, I had a certain amount of, like certain fixed amount that I was paid per hour. I'm not really sure right now, but I think it was roughly between 11 to 12 euros an hour. And if you do this math, 14 hours a week times like 4.5 weeks, you really get a certain amount of money that I think you really can survive with. I was also fortunate that throughout this time period, I was never kicked out of the job, and I was also not facing the situation where they said, okay, now the job, this task is over, because website management is a task that really is forever, and the other task was also like developing a tool. So entire thing can be summed up into that I was lucky enough to get 2 jobs in parallel and earn money and earn this entire experience of working in Germany. One point I would like to mention in this video is I am not promoting that each one of you should do 2 jobs because it's amazing, it's money-making machine, and you should forget about your education or studies. You just should get the experience of work because this will help you, blah and blah. I'm just sharing my story, and each and every story is different, each and every experience is different. All I'm trying to say is that if you are an international student, especially if you are from India, where this currency exchange is much too expensive, 75 rupees, 1 euro, and you have these problems with money, just don't want to depend on your parents and want to do something on your own. I shared my experience just to show how things can work out and how sometimes you can actually not only have 1 job but 2 jobs at the same time or in parallel to your education and support yourself financially. One very big tip from my side that I would like to give all of you before I end this video would be never ever trade your job, especially the side job as a student, with your education. Never, because this is something that you came for. This is exactly what you want to finish, and this is exactly which will get you later on a nice job, a nice life, and a satisfactory life that you always desired. This is important. It's nice, but never get consumed so much into it that you forget this. Much love.